Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest edition of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, Chief Content Producer and writer of Jake'sTake.com, a pop culture entertainment website. Now, before you listen to this, we get started. Give us a thumbs up if you're watching us on YouTube, and please subscribe to Jacob Elyachar YouTube channel, please. And if you're also listening to this on any of our audio platforms, please give us a 5-star rating. Please download episodes that you're interested in, and also please subscribe to the podcast. I am so excited and thrilled to welcome one of my all-time favorite guests back to the podcast. He is with over 100, as of this recording, with over 123,000 Instagram followers, including myself. This former model is now known as a simple approach coach. So please help me welcome back to the podcast one of my favorite fitness influencers, Sean Alexander, back to Jake's Take.
Hey, thank you for having me again, man. It's good to circle up after almost 2 years. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has. And both of us have gone through a lot of stuff in those 2 years. So I'm very grateful that we get to sit down and get to talk about it. So first of all, I got to say personally, thank you so much for the fitness inspiration, because as everyone follows me on the Instagram, I've been doing a lot of PRs at the Kansas Athletic Club. I got to give them a big shout out. And I've always been saying it to Sean. So when I hear any good things from you and your comments, it makes my day.
Good, man. Well, hey, I really appreciate that. That's super cool to hear. So as long as you're working out, man, I'm loving it. I'll be your number one supporter. Maybe number two. Your mom might be number one. I don't know.
Absolutely. Gloria Elyachar might have a word with you for number one spot. All righty, Sean. So it has been 2 years since we last spoke. So how have you grown your fitness career since the last time we talked?
So 2 years ago, we spoke in April of 2021. And at that point, I had an e-commerce business that I was closing down. 2020 had happened, the pandemic. So I had shut down my e-commerce business. I'd gone into corporate coaching on virtual workout classes. So I was the fitness director for 2 different mortgage lending companies and a rather large toothpaste company, a toothpaste distributor. And I was doing corporate coaching for their executive teams. And it was really cool, but I knew that wasn't the end goal for me. And so I pulled a full 180 with my life's direction. I was fully self-employed. I wanted to be the anomaly self-made millionaire that never went to college. And I would have that really cool story. And then it just didn't end up working out. My e-commerce business, unfortunately, went under. COVID happened. We couldn't sustain. So had to shut it down. In the process, I lost a lot of money. I got my ass handed to me. So it was just a year of getting my shit kicked in 2020. And then 2021 was rebuilding and redefining my direction and my long-term goals. And so I moved to Austin, Texas. I'm now in school wrapping up my bachelor's degree. I'm getting a degree in a subset of kinesiology. Thank you. A little round of applause. And so, yeah, I'm getting my bachelor's in applied movement science, which basically entails understanding the motor mechanics, the anatomy and physiology behind exercise, and what makes people tick mentally, why people are intrinsically motivated and why some people find more difficulty with that. And then understanding all the motor movement patterns, the different electrical synapses in your brain. So I am just fully in the weeds in school right now. And man, I got 1 year left. So I have 2 semesters. I graduate in December of 2023 later this year. And I am so excited. It's been a long time coming to get that damn degree. So yeah, increasing my fitness knowledge and then moving on to the next step. I'm not sure what that holds yet.
Well, Sean, I got to say this. I am so proud of you and how you were able to turn everything around. You are awesome. I follow him on Instagram. He is one of the most, your story, my friend, and how the past couple of years, you've done incredible work. So if anyone hasn't told you that, I am so effing proud of you.
I really appreciate that. That means a lot. Telling people you're proud of them is kind of it's not utilized enough. I feel like it only ever comes from superiors to subordinates, parents to children. But whenever you recognize that everyone is living this day for the first time right now and nobody has a clue, and everyone's going through success and failure and trauma and heartbreak and falling in love all at their own pace on their own timeline, whenever someone achieves something really incredible, I found it to be really cool to tell people in superior positions than me, and I try to convey it in a non-condescending way. I am authentically and genuinely really proud of people. Like for you, for example, I could authentically tell you, I'm really proud that you've got this podcast going on however many episodes. I mean, it's a lot of damn episodes. The consistency alone is worth recognizing as a massive achievement. So Jacob, I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you so much, Sean. I appreciate it. And I'm grateful for you and for other guests that have taken time and blessed my podcast with their presence and trust my brand. So thank you for your support, Sean.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, so yeah, basically at this point, school is the number one priority. Like you said, not to jump right into another, soapbox speech, but I'm now the simple approach coach, which is really nice. It's refreshing because previously I had a different training company. I had partners. Whenever you have partners, it's always a little push and pull between your way and my way. And we're trying to meet in the middle, but it's never fully my own concept. And that's just part of it. That's okay. But being on my own, I feel much more authentic in my approach now. And so I feel really peaceful with my new system, my new setup, my new client base, my new training methodology. I'm loving my current system. It's really working for me.
I gotta say, it looks great for you, and you're getting a lot of great responses regard not just from your socials, but also from your clientele as well. So, and simple approaches, not a lot of people can say that because, as both of us know, we know there's a lot of there's been people that do flash and in 15 seconds and like frying stuff. But however, this approach makes it so much easier for people instead of the flashy camera bodybuilding stuff that we're all used to.
My approach is to allow people the opportunity to control their physical vessel, right? You only get one body. You might as well take care of it with as little intrusive conscious effort into your already established routines as possible. I want it to be as easy as possible, as simple as possible, And so my whole goal is you're going to see results without having to track calories. You don't have to follow a rigid workout program. And whenever you're done working with me, because we're not going to work together forever, although side note, I am very proud of my client retention. I don't want 100 clients. I don't have the time or the bandwidth. School is my number one. But with the smaller client load that I manage, they have stayed with me. I've got clients that have worked with me for over a year now, and they still report, really positive experiences. So that's really humbling and gratifying for me to recognize. I don't have to have 50 or 60 or 150 or 5,000 clients. I got about 30, and that's what I kind of maintain. That's about where I can juggle right now. And I would say 25 out of 30 are really hardworking guys that really enjoy the process, and they seem to be learning a lot, so that whenever we're no longer working together, whenever that happens, they'll be better off. They'll be more confident. They'll be more competent. They'll just be better equipped to go manage their physical fitness without having a coach stand over them and make them do the bench press or make them, track their macros or their calories. It's like, man, how do you just live intuitively and still progress towards being in the best shape of your entire life? And that's my whole thing. And so it's really not the best program in the world or the 8-minute ab hack. I'm teaching you the concepts, the philosophy and the principles that once you create this framework, you can just kind of bounce within this little set of parameters and say, oh, dude, this actually isn't very complicated at all. This is way simpler than I ever thought it was. And then once they're no longer working with me, if they don't have a workout program to follow, they're still confident enough to know how they can manage and make progress. If they don't have a meal plan or they're out eating at fast food restaurants, they know how to manage their expectations and decisions so that there's always a little yin and yang. And Yeah, once that awareness gets built up, man, people just take it and run with it, and it's awesome to see.
And that's amazing to hear because I've seen we've spoke, you and I have followed a lot of people from social media that do a lot of fitness and say they have like 500 clients, but it feels like with you, Sean, you have not only you have a genuine connection with them, but you also are well invested with them.
Absolutely. Without naming any names, just recently had a client whose father passed away. And I'm texting him and I'm checking in on him and I'm there for emotional support. And that's not my role. It's not therapy, but also it's just a really cool community. Cause even yesterday I had my group call where all my clients can join in and it's just me. I don't have a team. I'm not out here assigning templates and disappearing. I'm giving customized video responses when someone needs an additional little bit of support. I'm there to hop on a FaceTime and, guide them through how to do a Romanian deadlift properly, or how to set goals, or how to operate and organize their kitchens, plural, your home kitchen, your car kitchen, your backpack kitchen, your work office kitchen. So I feel like I really do care. And because I have a smaller client base, I'm able to really connect with my clients on a really personal level. And it's just nice because even yesterday on this group call, there was multiple people that kind of came in to support my client whose father passed. And they all had words of encouragement and, nothing but nice things to say. And it was just a moment of reflection for me where I recognized, damn, everyone talks about fitness being bigger than fitness, but in my Facebook group, not all my clients join. Some people only want the program and the meal plan and they, don't engage or participate. And that's fine. They still see progress because they're self-starters and they're self-motivated. And I'm not going to gripe at you to show up and be present, but the ones that do really gain a lot of value from it. And so it's like, I only have about 25 people in this Facebook group. I've coached maybe 65, 70 clients in the last year. Some of them have left, some of them have stayed. But out of 75, only 25 are in the Facebook group and only about 10 really engage and try to squeeze out as much value and knowledge from me as possible. And so whenever they're engaging, whenever they're really utilizing me as a resource, not only are they learning a lot and they're making progress, but it was just so cool to see. Damn, it's not the biggest community, but it's close knit. Like these guys have never met each other. I've never met any of them in real life. Maybe like 3 of them, but it's like they were still showing up just to, lend a little bit of compassion and empathy to someone that they've never met, but has just been on a group calls consistently. And it was like, damn, this really is bigger than barbells. I would say bigger than my biceps, but I think that's not possible.
Okay, Sean, I think for y'all, those of you in the audio, I think Sean just flexed his guns, and I did not expect a ticket to the gun show.
Hey, I gotta say, I just did this whole thing and I sounded so empathetic and sweet and kind, and then I end it with like a comment talking about taking tricep trail all the way up to Mount Bicepius. That's kind of what you get whenever you work with Simple Approach Coach. A little bit of serious, a little bit of goofy. A lot of
I like it, but because the thing is, that's what is incredible about you, Sean. So let's talk about the rebrand process, because I think you must have faced a lot because when you were at a Simple Approach, what are some of the challenges that you faced during the rebranding process and getting new clients, and how did you overcome those obstacles?
Sorry, I kicked my shoes off. If we're going to be sitting at home, I'm going to get comfortable.
Okay.
Part of the rebranding process was stepping into the new identity role that is being a fitness content creator, because I gained my entire social media following. Well, let's call it 80%, based on the days when I lived in New York City and I was fitness modeling. And so that's cool, but I was just posted up, leaning against walls, just being hot. And it was like, okay, that's fine. It was cool. It built up traction and an audience. But then you get pigeonholed into posting only what gained you traction initially. And it's a toxic place to be, because I started off pre-OnlyFans days, right? I have no interest in ever going into that route. But pre-OnlyFans days, please
do not.
Don't worry about that. That's not in my cards. But what I was saying is pre-OnlyFans days, being shirtless on the internet was a very different experience, and it had a completely different connotation associated. Pre-OnlyFans days, I was living in New York City, signed to an agency, shooting with professional photographers, and it gave off this connotation that, oh, wow, he's a professional fitness model. That's cool in and of itself and respectable. Then OnlyFans came out, and I gained this whole following based on being shirtless and attractive, just to call it what it is. And then I was like, damn, I don't want to continue doing that because that doesn't reflect who I am internally. It doesn't reflect the message that I want to convey. But it's really intimidating because then I had to go learn the process of creating content. And I only got a camera a year and 3 months ago, in November of the year before last, 2021 in November. And that was the first time I ever had a professional camera. And then you have to learn the process of, shooting content on your own, self-portrait style. You've got to learn the process of editing. So I had to go download Adobe Premiere Pro and learn how to chop videos up. And then you have to step into this new brand, new identity, which is being a fitness coach and producing content, speaking to a camera and providing value-driven, informational-oriented content. And that was a really tough transition for me because it's nerve-wracking. And if people think, oh, how do these influencers go record in public and feel confident? Okay, I can't only speak for myself. I'm not. Like, it's nerve-wracking. I feel like people are looking at me. I look like a gym douche. I look like a Chad, Brad, Thad, laser, taser, blazer kind of a guy. So it's like that. If I have a camera in the gym and I'm recording, it's uncomfortable. So that was a huge challenge for me, was learning how to organize and optimize that whole process. And I'm still working on that, right? School is priority number one. So I'm still having to figure out, man, I got to find a video editor because I can record, but I don't have the bandwidth to do client work, meet with my clients, go to class, perform well, get straight A's, study for the GMAT so I can go get my master's. It's like very time consuming. So I think just juggling all these new balls was really difficult to manage.
It's but you handle it very well, I gotta say.
That's what it looks like on social media, but social media is only one dimension of life. That's only what you portray. But I've been stressed. I've been spread too far, too thin. I felt overwhelmed, like I couldn't do it. And a little bit, it's difficult to not showcase that on social media because no one likes a complainer, and posting about how difficult things are doesn't resonate well with an audience. No one wants to just hear, oh, boo-hoo, wah, wah, wah. But at the same time, if then you put on this, cheesy, gimmicky face and you're talking about how motivated you are all the time, it feels inauthentic. And internally you're lying to yourself, but your audience doesn't even know that that's happening. And there's a lot that goes into creating content on social media, separating your personal life from your public portrayal of yourself, and trying to find the line between authenticity and oversharing. I keep my romantic relationships hidden. Yeah, there's a lot of, nuance to it. So it's tough.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. Like when I go on my Instagram and do every day on my Instagram story when I'm at Kansas Athletic Club, I do have a hold the whiteboard, showcase what I did to hold myself accountable, but also I feel a little more comfortable at Kansas Athletic Club than I'm going over to Christian Goosemont's Athleland. It'd be difficult for me to be over there because I know you will have my back for sure if we worked out together, or if you wanted to train me one of these days. But it feel uncomfortable for me because yours are these all big biceps, big pec bounces, everything. And it's just okay, let me just go grab my stuff and do a CrossFit workout.
It's really weird because I'm no longer sponsored by Alpha Elite, and I love the brand. I love the clothes. I love what they stand for, the community, the people. I no longer work with them because I didn't post enough and I wasn't generating enough sales with my commission code. And if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. And so I'm fine with the decision to part ways. But in part, I didn't feel like I could authentically post as often as I needed to and sell these products through my page, because it gets toxic and it feels like I have these requirements hanging over my head to go create content. And then I'm so busy that I start posting, 8 times per month for a brand, but I'm only getting 8 posts out for myself. And now I'm promoting a brand that's not mine, that's not myself, more than I'm promoting the message I actually want to share, which is just living a healthy life, understanding how to do it intuitively, feeling good, practicing meditation, working hard, learning more, being a lifelong learner. So it's all these things that felt like, damn, I don't know if stepping into the role of Alpha Elite, Alpha Land, what are the other big brands, Gymshark or LA, what's the young LA type influencer? I don't know if that reflects what I want to be seen as. And so it gets really tough because I love the clothes and I love the people, but I don't want to fully indoctrinate myself into, oh, he's in the influencer, he's just an influencer. It's like, nah, I want to be a guy that does so many things that is so authentically me. I don't fit into anyone's box. You can't create a narrative around who I am based on my social, because I don't want to be so one-dimensional and really dive super deep into one area. So again, I want to reiterate, nothing against Alpha Elite, nothing against Young LA or Gymshark or anyone that is fully on that train. It just didn't feel authentic for me. And again, I love the clothes. So if you are interested in Alpha Elite, go check them out. They're great.
Absolutely. And that brings me to a point where the things are for people, like it's not just you I follow, but also at my friend Mike Gross of Anabolic Aliens, and then Scott Herman as well, who's done fitness. There, all three of you have in common are authentically yourself and help so many people get into shape.
Yeah, if I can help one person make a positive change in their life, I feel like mission accomplished. I don't need specific benchmarks to be met. I just like hearing positive feedback in whatever capacity that might be.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, one question I have is, since we're on the subject of social media and since you have the subject of content, like how long does it take the content? Like for me, it's the podcast can take at least not just interviewing and preparing for the questions, but also it could take up to at least almost a day or two to get a podcast up. But I must, but like, how does it take for you? Like when it, like what goes through your mind when it comes to the content creation process?
Oh man. I made a promise that this year I would not speak negatively on the topic of creating content, because if I speak negatively on it, I feel like that traps me into stepping into this identity role that is, a guy that doesn't like creating content. And then whenever I go create content, I'm forcing this identity that is not liking creating content. I'm forcing that guy to then go through the motions of creating content. That's incredibly negative. That is not a great place to be. So I'm going to choose my words carefully here and really try to articulate this in a way that's true, but also positive. Creating content is difficult. Nothing negative about it. It's tough. And it's weird because sometimes I hop on there and I stumble and I fumble and I stutter and stammer and I can't get my thoughts out. And then I watch it back and it was too long because I'm too long-winded, or and it doesn't even fit on the time constraints of an Instagram reel. And then sometimes I feel like I see these other guys that are professional, social media content creators, and they are so articulate and they're so intelligent and their editing is so next level, and they have peer-reviewed sources and like peer-reviewed systematic, overhaul studies. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to think of the hierarchy of like providing sources, but like oh my goodness, I can't even think of it right now. Essentially, whenever you compile 1,000 studies and you do a systematic review of the entire literature base on a certain topic, they go in and it's tough. I compare myself to these guys because I want to be like that, but the time and effort and energy required and skill required to be able to go do it on that level is just above and beyond what my time and my schedule will allow me to create. So a huge hurdle for me was getting over this perfectionist mindset that is, I can't post myself unless it's perfect. I have to get my words out every single time in a clear, concise manner. I have to look right. The lighting's got to be right. I need a catchy caption and my song choice has to be, it's exhausting. And so a little bit, the content creation process for me is just grab my camera, go to the gym, record, and try to get some speaking content recorded so that I can provide value. I'm not the guy to do hokey, point to the screen and have words pop up. It doesn't feel natural. It feels goofy. I don't like how that represents me and it feels weird. And so I just try to go record myself speaking, whether it's cooking a meal, performing an exercise, talking about how I order food at a fast food joint or what coffee order I choose at Starbucks, whenever I'm, choosing to be fat and happy or whenever I'm choosing to try to lean it out. And so with that, the editing process is what I found to be the most time consuming and most difficult. For anyone out there trying to create content, the mobile app CapCut is really helpful. They've got preset templates in there that you can upload clips and it'll automatically create a reel for you. But really my content doesn't fit into the flashy trending,
TikTok.
Yeah. The little TikToks, the trends, the little video sequences that everyone is doing. I feel like I don't really want to fall into that pigeonhole either. And so I have found that the gross edit from a 5-minute video where I stuttered and stammered, but finally figured out how to get my point out, even if it was 7 different broken thoughts, edited together. I found that to be the most time consuming. So really, I'm now working with 2 different video editors that are going to help me create gross edits so that I can go in and then do a thumbnail, provide captions, and write the actual text for the post. And I think that'll help me streamline a lot, but I haven't rolled that out yet. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks, I'll be able to decrease my workload and increase my content output.
And I cannot wait to look at that content, Sean, because your content is second to none. And I totally agree with the stuttering and stammering because I've done that multiple times. In fact, when I do my music review promotion, and when I do my America's Got Talent recap, sometimes I do stutter and I do stammer. I'm like, it takes me multiple times to do that. But at the same time I do need to lose that perfectionist thing.
Brene Brown is a therapist and a researcher on the emotional or on the self-aware. Hold on. I want to pull this up and get it exactly right. I've got notes on it. I'm the king of the notes app on my phone. She broke down the self-conscious affective emotions, which are shame, guilt, humiliation, and embarrassment. And then she defined the differences between each one. And I'll just give you a quick overview. Shame, assuming you have a failure in life, shame is the attribution of self saying, I am bad, right? And so you view a mistake that you made and then you say, me, like that's a horrible way to live. And a lot of us have that negative self-talk. So if I don't post content and I say, I am a bad influencer, I'm a bad, like that sucks. And it could be anything, right? You fail in a relationship, I'm a bad boyfriend. You fail at school, I'm stupid. So shame is really dangerous, really negative. Guilt is productive. Guilt is different. Guilt is the same stimulus, but the attribution you make is I did something bad. It's behavior oriented, not self-oriented. And that's good, productive, and adapted because you're saying I made a mistake, and it's cognitive dissonance holding ourselves or holding something we've done up against who we want to be. Right? Okay, so you did this. Who is the person I want to be? And then to hold yourself against that, it's uncomfortable, but you can work through that. And then humiliation, same thing, but there's a sense of undeservedness. And embarrassment is an input or a stimulus that you can at least give yourself a little bit of compassion because you can say it's most likely a shared human experience. Other people have also messed up in this way. You fart really loudly in public. Yeah, it's embarrassing, but other people have done it. So with that, talking about the vulnerability and the transparency and authenticity that comes with being in my mind, a really valuable content creator. She talks about, look, vulnerability is the first thing I look for in you, but it's the last thing I want you to see in me. In you, it's courage. In me, it's inadequacy. In you, it's strength and lovability. In me, it's weakness and shame. And so I feel like whenever I stutter and stammer and I can't get my damn words out, I'll sit down and say, I'm bad at this. I'm horrible. No. Post it as is. And I still struggle with this. I'm talking as if I'm perfect about it. I'm not. But a little bit, it makes us human. Man, we all stutter and stammer. We all get up and put socks and shoes on just like anyone else. Some people might have a little machine that sanitizes your feet and you step into the sock and it puts the shoe on for you. But you're putting socks and shoes on in the morning just like anyone else. And unless you don't wear socks and shoes. But you guys, okay, like exceptions to the side, you get the point. It's tough to let yourself be seen as imperfect. But whenever you see someone else as imperfect, it's really relatable. And it's really nice to see, oh, it's not just me. Other people are human too.
Absolutely, absolutely. I gotta say I totally agree with that. Everything that you said, my friend, and definitely, this is amazing what a podcast can do.
Yeah. No, you just get a conversation rolling, and then you never know what's going to happen.
Alrighty, so have you thought about dream collaborators? Like, have you thought about, because I know with summer vacation coming up and like coming up in May, starting in May, have you thought about like who am I going to collaborate with, or do you want to collaborate? And if you do, how are you going to elevate your brand and also help motivate your clients?
I like collaborating with my friends, Michael Dean, Trevor Franklin, Ryan Harden, Gage Gomez. These are the guys that I get a buzz from hanging out with. They're my real life friends. And I don't really feel like I need to collaborate with anyone else because my goal isn't to be the biggest guy on social media. To someone that doesn't have a following, they see 120,000 followers and they're like, wow, like that guy must be somebody. But in the world of fitness, if you go ask other influencers that are really plugged in on the behind the scenes, who's actually a big deal and who's not, if you ask them, hey, have you ever heard of Sean Alexander? The answer is no. And that's fine. Like the biggest guys in the industry don't know who I am, and I don't need them to. It's not important to me. I want to work with my friends because I want to hang out with my friends. And past that, my priority is school. And so I keep saying that because I'm just locked in right now. I've got to get a 4.0 this semester, 4.0 next semester. Then I'll graduate from the University of Texas, a top, 25 university in the nation with a perfect GPA. And then I'm studying for the GMAT starting in 3 weeks. And I'll be studying for 6 months, about 90 minutes a day. And my goal is to get a perfect score on the GMAT. And I won't settle for anything within or anything greater than 5 questions within perfect. So if I'm not there, then to me, if I get less than a perfect score, it's not a reflection of my capabilities. It's a reflection of my effort. And just like getting big biceps, I don't care what your genetics are. If you work harder and you get more reps than any other person, you will look better than 99% of the population. I do not care what ailment you have, right? There are exceptions. We understand this. So don't come at me and say, oh, well, what about, look, we get it. Okay. I'm speaking in hyperbolic terms right now. I'm generalizing, but it's the same thing with my potential and really excelling in an academic setting. I withdrew the first time I went to school at 18 before I failed out. I failed every exam I took. I went to every class. I took good notes. I attended. I didn't drink too much. It's never been a problem. I'd never smoked weed at that point. That wasn't it. And I stole this line from somebody else. But at that time, my birth control in college was that girls just said no. So I had no excuse for performing poorly in school. And so now that I'm 27, almost 28, and I'm in this position and I understand what work ethic really means, and I understand that I have the potential to succeed on the highest level, right now, social media is just not my number one pursuit because school is, and I'm really fired up on that. And I think once I graduate and once I have a little more free time and a little more bandwidth, I would love to come back to content in a much bigger fashion with a completely different spin on the influencer style of content versus the academia related, educational, informational, value driven, credible, really just well formed and yeah, really, I think credible is the one that I'm looking for. Like I said it, but I'm looking for another synonym. I just want to be respected as, yeah, that guy knows what's going on. He is educated, he's respected, he's got the credentials needed so that I can really trust what he's saying whenever I open my mouth to give people advice. It's one thing to talk about motivational and motivation and happiness. It's a completely different thing to be able to hop on and say, no. I have multiple degrees in these fields. I know. And so I want that certainty in myself. So right now, dream collaborators, my buddies, just hang out, have fun, kind of take the pressure off social media a little bit. And then whenever I get to a point that I feel like I've earned the credibility and the respect of the peers that are at the top of science-backed content creation, Jeff Nippard, Andrew Huberman. I'd love to sit down with Alex Hormozy. I'd like to sit down with Russell Brunson. Once I'm in that category of education with formalized credentials, I would feel like I've got some collaborators in mind. But today, I just don't feel like I'm at that point. And so rather than try to create some subpar content right now, whenever I don't really have it all together, I'm like, let me finish my degree. Let me get my business school going. Let me get absolutely as educated as I can. And then whenever I sit down, I'll have real experiential and academic value to provide to people. And so that excites me.
And I think that lit a fire on everyone who's listening or watching this conversation, Sean. I think you did wonderful. So,
like I said, if it helps one person, that's all that matters.
Okay, so 2023 is underway, and you and I both know that a lot of people are working on their fitness journey. So if you had a chance to meet with someone who is struggling on their fitness journey, what advice would you share with them?
Progress over perfection, and set consistency goals, set habit goals. Don't set benchmark goals. I want to weigh this much. If you want to weigh that much, just don't eat for 20 days. I know that that's the worst advice I give, but you could cheat the process is the point of saying that. Whenever you give yourself consistency goals, that builds real habits that are long lasting. I had a client one time, and I love to tell this story. I love bragging on this guy. He was one of the most disciplined guys I've ever met. And I remember at one point he had a streak of completing the New York Times crossword puzzle for 765 days in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And that says a lot about him as a person, as a man, as a human, just the work ethic and determination and consistency to do that every single day. Yeah, that guy's going to be successful. And it's a crossword puzzle, right? But if you commit to, I'm going to drink 1 gallon of water every day, it's specific, it's measurable, it's more than attainable, it's relevant to improving your fitness, and it's time constrained. Every day I have to finish a gallon. If you did that, just that, if you did nothing else and you were struggling with your fitness journey, that would take you so far. Then you say, okay, well, I need to add a little bit more. I'm going to walk for 15 minutes a day. I'm going to do 10 push-ups a day. I'm going to do 10 minutes of meditation every day. Hello, that's me. So my consistency goal for the last year is I said, I want to do 365 days of meditation. I missed, but I hit over 60% of the year doing 10 minutes of breath work, dedicated breath work every day. This year, I haven't missed a day. And my goal is I'll hit above 90% for the year to give myself a little flexibility, a little leniency. Maybe I miss it, but if I miss one, I won't feel like I've ruined the streak. Because I remember I missed it my first day last year. I went 130 days and then I missed a day. And then I was just, it's out the window. And I didn't meditate for the next month. And that was where some of my days of not meditating, because it was like, man, I messed up once and I'm done. If you give yourself parameters within which you can operate, and you give yourself the goal of consistency as opposed to benchmark goals, it gets a little more achievable. You know, my mom was born and raised in Montreal, Canada, in Quebec. And so she spoke French for her entire life until she was about 30, and then really became bilingual and learned English. But she doesn't really understand idioms or sayings in America. You know, in English, they don't quite click. So one of her sayings that she always said growing up is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So if you just commit to, I'm going to eat one bite every day, that's a lot easier than saying I'm going to eat an elephant. That feels so insurmountable. So if you learn to set appropriate goals, it makes the whole process a lot more achievable.
I gotta say, that saying is what my mom and dad use with me.
Wait, really?
So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Like she messes up 1,000 of them, but the fact that that's also been said in your household tells me that maybe she didn't get that one wrong. So I'm gonna call my mom and tell her I'm sorry. I blasted her on a public podcast.
I'm sorry if I'm gonna get you in trouble, Sean. I apologize.
Love you, Mom. Love you, Mom.
All righty, final question. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready. Give it to me.
All right, Sean. Where can my audience find you on social media? And if they want to learn more about working with you as a Simple Approach trainer or Simple Approach coach, where can they find you?
So my Instagram, TikTok, and maybe Twitter handle, although I don't really use Twitter, they are all at Sean Alexander with 2 R's. So SeanAlexanderr. And then my website for coaching would be www.simpleapproach.us. And if you need one more place to find me, my email is SeanAlexanderr, again, 2 R's, 100 @gmail.com. And you can just tell me that you heard me on the Jacob Elyachar podcast, and I'll give you a little discount.
Now that's a great deal, guys. That is a great deal. No one hasn't done that ever. So thank you, Sean. All right,
hey,
guys.
I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for having me again.
Awesome. You're so welcome. Guys, have you missed an episode of the Chicks Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast? Visit our channels on Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, Spotify, and Speaker. It's Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Now, are you on social media? Because I'm on social media too. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. And Sean, persistency pays off because jakes-take.com, the blog that started it all, is turning 12 at the end of August.
Congratulations. That is awesome.
Thank you so much. And Sean, thank you so much for your time. I always appreciate when you come on the podcast. You are always one of the people I always hand a welcome invitation to come on anytime you like. And I'm very grateful for our friendship.
Hey, so am I. So let's do it again next week. I'll see you soon.
All righty, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, have a great one, everybody. Goodbye.